This is really difficult. But I shouldn't. This is gonna be harder than I thought. A little dramatics for you. I should have won an Oscar. But that's beside the point, because today we're getting into a bunch of makeup that I feel I need to have a de-influencing effect on. As the Sephora Spring Sale is coming up, I think it's really important to take a step back, look in your collection, look what you really need. Either pick up some things that you've run out of that you really know are your tried and trues, and not to get sucked into all of the newest launches. And as makeup collectors and lovers, it is so difficult. And I'm really speaking to myself this year. I don't think I'm going to be able to do a huge haul for y'all. And I really think it's really important to remember in these times, especially when things go on sale. And yes, that's great. I think shop smartly if you need to, but to really remember that some things are just not necessary. And sometimes if they're not necessary, sometimes we don't need to be spending our hard-earned money, even if it is just to treat ourselves. There are either better, more affordable options to these items I'm going to speak about, or they're simply just not a need because they're not an essential in my collection. So without further ado, let's get on into it. This is going to be in no particular order. I just kind of grabbed a few things that I thought, but do we really need that? First thing I'm going to talk about are these Drunk Elephant D bronzing drops. We've come such a long way from when these first launched. They were first all the rage a couple of years ago when I think people were really into having bronzy skin for summer and there wasn't a product like this that they could mix into their complexion products. But I feel right now these are so incredibly expensive. I got them when I was working at Ulta and I used quite a large discount on them. And I just don't love them. I think there are better products on the market out there. They make me look so dirty because they are so patchy. I do think if you already have these from a couple years ago and you really want to use these up, they do work best when you are mixing them into your products. But alone on the face, if you're a dry skinned girl especially, I cannot get with it. And there are so many more affordable options even at the drugstore that are better if you like this kind of product. I just don't think even with 20% off, these are it anymore. I just want to preface that everything I'm about to talk about, I have purchased with my own money, and I do think that they are good products. That's why I purchased them, and I really do like them, or I did like them a whole bunch once upon a time. But I really just want to emphasize that I do think these are things that are just not necessary anymore, that you can find really good alternatives to for the price. So I'm not saying any of these are really terrible per se, because I own them, I've bought them, I will continue to use everything that I have so that I get my money's worth. I just want to say that because I know this is going to be super controversial, but I think the e.l.f. Hydrogrip primer is very good because I think it does what it says it does. However, for the price point, I just think there are so many other grippy primers at the drugstore especially that you can get for a better price of even the sale price of this. It's just my opinion. I think this works really well. I think the e.l.f. primer is really, really good. Now, I will say, does this feel better to me even a little bit than my e.l.f. grippy primer? Yes. And it should for the upped price point. So I do think you do get a little bit of what you pay for, but it's a primer. You're not really going to see it. If you're really after just how this works, I think the e.l.f. one is honestly just as good. And I think this is unnecessary because, Now, if you can tell, I'm not really a primer girl. Primers have to really, really wow me to make it worth it for me. And this one, it's usually just not my vibe. It kind of gives me the ick to have the feeling of something being pressed into my pores. So I like the idea of a blurring primer, but it has to really feel right for me to like. And you would think I would like this because it's beautiful. It's skincare. This is the Tatcha Silk Canvas Filter Finish. And this one, here's the thing. I mean, I've used it and it does feel really, really nice. It really does mattify. I have to be in such a certain mood to make my face feel this matte and this dry. And I just don't reach for this a whole bunch. And especially in the summer coming up, I just don't think you need anything like this right now. So even if it has beautiful skincare benefits, if you're extremely oily and you want something in the summer that's going to keep your makeup on all day long, I do think something like a gripping primer, it grips your makeup. It also gives you that hydration still, and it's not going to catch on your skin, is going to be better. Or I really like the one from Huda because it doesn't have silicone in it, or Cali Ray. please go check out Cali Ray's Blurring Primer if you have oily skin. And I would just say you don't need this. I'm sorry, this is so dirty. But next from Tower 28, this is their Beach Please in the shade Office Hours. It is a cream blush formula and it's a really pretty color. It's your basic neutral mauve. It's got a little bit of brick in it. It could be kind of used as a bronzer. These go on pretty sheer, I would say. Not that they're not pigmented. They really give you a watery, glassy, balmy kind of look, which tends to fade on me so quickly. And especially in the summer, if I want something to go on that looks that way, I need something with a little bit more longevity. And I am so excited for their new matte blurring blushes that are powder to come out. I really want to get those. Those are definitely on my wish list. Again, this is a really good product. This is just more of a winter thing for me. And frankly, it's just not one of the cream blushes I'm reaching for when we have so much cream blush on the market right now that is beautiful and stunning. This is just not one of those I'm reaching for anymore. It really was viral and had a moment for a second, but I think there are better out there. If you're really wanting to treat yourself with a sale, the Westman Atelier cream blush is so gorgeous and will not do you any wrong. Okay, now for powders. The reason I want to speak about these two is these are two of my personal favorite powders in my collection. This is the One Size Setting Powder in Ultra Pink. This is so beautiful. However, I am fair as fair can be, and the camera is not really picking up how pink this is. But if you are fair as fair can be like me, this can be a little difficult to put on because it is so pink. It will literally look quite like a blush. Now, if you're a little bit darker in skin tone, that might give you a more brightening effect. But the reason the pink powders became so popular over the internet is because of their brightening effect. And that one does not give me any brightening effect, I will say. I use it all the time because I love a pink fade into my blush. I will keep it pretty close here and I will even take it here, kind of even it out. I like looking like a crazy person, but I know for the vast majority of people, that is going to be way too pink, especially for your under eyes where it's going to look best placed. So if you are in the light to medium skin tone, I would say you could stay away from that. Now, I think the formula is beautiful. I would love to get my hands on the translucent, but because I have so much of the pink, I've decided to just take a step back and not purchase it. I love the formula so much. I will continue to use it, but I think the color can be a little bit hard to work with. It's not universal. So with all of the pink setting powders on the market and you really like that brand, I would just caution you to stay away from that one. I don't think it's needed. The Makeup by Mario Fair Light Pink Powder is the one I'm wearing on my under eyes today. And it doesn't look pink. It just looks brightening and kind of combats the yellow tones that can be in a lot of complexion products. And that's something I would say go for a little more. This is the incredibly viral Huda Beauty setting powder, and this is in her shade Ube Birthday Cake. This just took over my entire Instagram feed when it came out. I just had to know what all of the hype was about. I've used this in a couple of videos, so if you really want to see an application, go check those out. I can link those down below for you. But again, of course, it's not the formula. Everybody knows Huda's formula is one of the best on the market, and I totally agree. But I'm talking about color and shade right now. I just don't think everyone needs this. She said even herself it was marketed towards deep to darker skin tones, and I think this will look so beautiful. This is probably my favorite powder that I own in a fun color. Again, I love sort of that Arabian makeup look where the blush sort of fades into the under eye and you can't really see where that starts and stops. I personally like that look. It is not a look for every day though. This definitely looks like blush on me completely. And I love the color on me. Lavender has always flattered my olive features, so it really tends to cancel out my particular olive tones, even though I am incredibly fair. But if you are incredibly fair with yellow or pink undertones, this is just not going to be your favorite, I don't think. And especially for 40 bucks, this is just not something that I think you're going to want to use for every day. For the everyday girl, it's just not going to be worth it, because I think you're only going to grab for it for very, very rare occasions. And even then, if you were going to a special event like a wedding, you probably would want to look your best. And this just comes with a little bit of risk to it if you're not into the most crazy, outlandish, fun makeup looks just for funsies. So I am a lot of the time. So if you are like me and you like the pink faded underlook and you are fair, you can use this. Just know that you can. But I don't think it's as universal and a good sale pickup. My 2 cents. Now, this is the Makeup by Mario Soft Pop Blush Stick, and this is in the color Sweet Pink. And I think this is perfectly fine. Like, I have no complaints with almost anything Makeup by Mario comes out with. I love his whole brand, and I like this. But again, it's sort of like the Tower 28 blush. I like it, and I will continue to use it, and I will continue to get my money's worth, and it's a good product, but it's not stand out for me. It's not like when I think of it, oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite stick blushes ever, ever, ever. It's just not, and I couldn't even tell you why, but I think that's kind of part of it, is there's nothing really noteworthy about it. And maybe you like that, but it's just sort of like, it works and it doesn't give me any problems. But if you're going to spend your money on something, I would rather you get something either so beautiful that you really treat yourself, like the YSL blushes or the Westman Atelier blushes, the Gucci one I mentioned. Some of my favorite sticks are those new ones from Physicians Formula at the drugstore, or Kylie Cosmetics has an incredibly blurring blush stick that is my favorite. So again, totally, totally not a bad product, but when we are trying to get our money's worth out of the sale, I want your cart to be filled with these beautiful, perfect, standout, worth it products in this economy, and we're not just going for like, fine, it works, you know? Now, this is a pricey product, and it's so weird because I really want to say I love this more than anything. This is the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Compact Powder. I am telling you, this feels like the best thing I've ever put on my finger in my entire life. Like, the swatch in the store is what got me. As you can see, it's really pretty. It's got a little bit of a beautiful sheen to it. I am obsessed with the way this swatch is, but then I go to put it on my face and I cannot see it. And I'm packing it on and I'm like, is it doing anything? I can't tell. And certainly for this price, I really would like to be able to tell that I have had some improvement in my complexion, and I want to love this so much. I saved up for this. I was so excited to get it because the swatch in the store was killing me. And now, like, I never use it because I don't think it does anything. So I'm going to use it to touch up my makeup, I guess, when I can. Like I said, try to get my money's worth out of this. But if you were wondering because you swatched this and you're like, oh, that's going to be amazing. So sad. Lastly, I am one of those people that I always wear drugstore mascaras. I think that in the range of mascaras, a lot of it is the brush. Some of it's the formula, whether it's a little drier or not, whether it flakes. But other than that, there's not a lot of difference you can do with mascaras. A lot of it comes down to how naturally beautiful your lashes are, how well they're curled, things like that. And so I'm not one of those people to spend a whole bunch of money on high-end mascaras because I think you can get everything you need out of your lashes with a drugstore mascara. So when I got this one to try, this is the Tarte Big Ego mascara. It's sort of like the blush stick. It's like, it's okay, but why would I spend $30+ for this when I can get a $12 to $17 one at the drugstore? Which, if we're being real, $17, $18 for a mascara at the drugstore? Are you kidding me? For black squid ink, basically? What is the world coming to? But even then, I mean, wouldn't you rather spend 18 than 30+ on something that's like, okay. No? I will say the couple of them that really stand out to me. Tarte's XL Tubing Mascara, love it. The drugstore doesn't have a tubing mascara. I know there's one from Milani, but the drugstore doesn't have a tubing mascara. That has really knocked my socks off. So I love Tarte's. So if you're going to get one on sale, definitely grab that one. This was just kind of a good example of like, most of the mascaras that you see are going to be sort of like, eh. You know, like you could spend your $35 on gas instead. Makes more sense to me. Lastly, oh my gosh. I don't want to say this. I love this brand so much. I am still a fangirl, but this is the Charlotte Tilbury Glow Guide Face Architect Highlighter in Moonlit Glow. Oh gosh, more tongue twister. So don't get me wrong, this is stunning, but after a while, this is kind of what I thought about the new Patrick Ta highlighters. It kind of hard pants pretty easily. I hate to say that because her stuff is so good at making your skin look like skin. That's kind of what she's known for. And it is very pretty, but like I just think there are better. And for this price point, you really need to be like the best in the biz. And I love the Dior highlighters. I think they are phenomenal, but Rare Beauty's highlighters are really like, they're just where it's at. They're killer. Fenty, I think, is right on the same tier as Rare Beauty in terms of like, that is the most beautiful, blinding, yet skin-like highlighter. And they both have the opposite of looking like hard pan on your face. And hard pan is like where it looks like plastic, like you can't break through it. And it's got like a cover on your skin rather than being a part of your skin. I will continue to use it, but it does hard pan a little easily. You could be taken in by the swatch in store, and I'm here to tell you that it just doesn't last like it swatches. So I do think the color is really beautiful. It's a beautiful product. If you think you're going to use this up pretty quickly, then go for it. But if you're going to have this in your collection for a little bit, like I have, oh, I just don't think it's worth it. Ow, that hurt to say. It's voila. That is it for my de-influencing video. I just wanted to make this as a quick reminder that you really don't need everything as much as we've got so many wonderful sales going on in the spring. It just seems like this is the best time to get the best bang out of your buck. That's how sales get me, is I think, well, if I'm going to get this anyway, I might as well get it now. But I really encourage you to shop your own stash and maybe pull out some things that you haven't in a long time and try a different look. It's going to make you feel like you have something new. And that's what I love about makeup in general. It just sort of rejuvenates you and gives you sort of a new face. Like today, I don't usually put on a peach blush and I don't usually put silver on my eyes, but I really, really love the way my makeup looked today, simply because sometimes it just feels great to give a different look. That's why most of the time people love to cut their hair, is because it sort of gives them a refreshing sense and a reinvention of self. I think that's really important to hold on to. That's why I love doing makeup videos as well, that really just incorporate old standbys that are still really good. I think it's important for somebody to remind all of us to sort of check back in and not have to spend everything just because it's new and just because influencers' jobs are to review new products. So that if it's time for you to get a new blush, maybe you know what's new and noteworthy on the market, you'd like to try a new one. But for most of us, it doesn't mean if you have 50, these other 50 are also worth it. Again, I am totally preaching to myself about this. I am so guilty. I am a makeup collector. I love collecting and having the options, and I use something different every day. And I still go through my own products, but I also realize that I am not the norm when it comes to that regard. I love those girls that just have like their tried and true makeup bag. They do the same thing every day. They look gorgeous every day. It's something that they don't think about. Makeup is a creativity, artistic outlet for me. So I love trying new and different and playing around with my own face. But I'm really making this sort of as a utility purpose for makeup for you. And therefore, I really hope you enjoyed. If you'd like to see my Sephora recommendations and what I actually think is completely worth it if you were in the market for some new makeup, I will leave that linked down below in the description box or right up here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Let me know if you're going to pick up anything or if you agree with any of these, or if you don't. If you have any more recommendations of things that you just don't think are cutting it anymore, I would love to know in the comments below. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in my cozy corner of the internet, where we all help each other to live life more beautifully. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.